Uh-oh, now we lost
Hey.
him.
All right, we'll get started. Here comes Tracy. Welcome to the October 4th Town Council Communications Committee meeting. Call this meeting to order. Item number 2, roll call.
Council
Tracy?
Anderson,
Here.
Council Katerina,
Here,
Council Johnson.
I am here, thank you. Item number 3, approval of the September 13th, our last meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have to, I wasn't at the meeting, so I have to abstain.
I second. Do I second? I can second. Can I not?
Mhm.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can. Roll call, please.
Council Anderson,
Yes.
Council Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Item number 4, discussion on the community survey communication plan. Can you tee that up with Allison, please?
Are you sharing your screen? Yeah, okay.
Coming up. There we go.
Here. It's a little brief and I know it's based off of the dates that will be made more available, but this just gives a rough timeline of what we are thinking. So for the end of September, there were some teasers that went out in articles so that people would know that they could be coming to their mailboxes and just to be on the lookout for them. So I submitted something to the leader that included information on it, and Ken did as well as part of the council corner, and those were published on 2 back-to-back weeks. Then in October is when the big push comes, and I kind of divided it out based on when it's in the stage where people would receive it in their mailboxes, so it's 4,200 households. And then more of a full launch and bigger communications, I imagine, would come later in the month after it's more available publicly
Right.
online. So these are just the areas where people had access to information: the e-newsletter, council corners from the leader, and any in the know columns that we publish. So we did those ones last week, and then I have a more dedicated article scheduled to go in the leader later in the month. So also as part of October, there's some ongoing areas for communications. I can put out social posts. We talked about the digital boards out around town hall, Sedco, and the library. I did get in touch with the library, and they said that they can do that for us, and just to send the language. So I think at the bottom of this page, I had
You had the,
just a couple iterations
Yep.
of what that could look like.
did they give you a time frame on that? When they would do that?
They're
too?
flexible.
Oh, okay.
I had made them aware that we didn't know the exact time frame, but I thought that it would be after it's more widely. It's not just for the
Yeah.
household
Yeah.
mailing stage. It would be once it's like possibly October, I think. And then I'll make sure that it's on the home page and that people have a link to that survey, the digital survey, on the website homepage. And then we'd also talked about maybe having more signage up, physical signage or like materials around in here, especially like as early voting is happening in chambers.
Question for you.
Yep.
When you're coming up 114, there's always this banner that spans across the road. Who owns
Who
that
does? I don't know the
space?
answer to that. Do you know?
I don't know either. No, in the previous role, those were usually, there was a spot that was privately retained, another community I worked in, and they required town approval, but I don't know who owns that.
But we've put stuff up from a town like summer, that's where we put Summerfest, right? And right now, I think there's always some type of auction that goes on in October, so that's what's up there now. I'm wondering when that comes down, if we could put a banner up. I'll buy the banner and get a banner up. Any thoughts on that?
Community services, I think knows about that. I always thought it was community services that did that banner, but if it's
Yeah,
not,
I had a
if
point
it's
person.
not, yeah, if it's not community services, then it may be the Chamber of Commerce, but I think it's
Okay.
community services.
Yeah, you're probably right, because they would take the lead on like Summerfest, things like that, and that's where usually the banners are up on. So we could reach out to Todd, maybe, just,
Yep.
do you want to do that? Do you want me to do that?
I can do
Okay.
that, and then they might, if it's not them, it no, and then it should be pretty straightforward after that. I just need the dimensions, and then I should.
Yep.
be able to order it.
Because we've got a place to call, there's a place right down in Saco that makes them. They're cheap
Okay,
and just have to get the approval and the time frame. It's a
my
thought.
concern is that, it might be that like certain weeks are already reserved or something, and that it might be like too last minute
Yeah.
to do that,
We
but
can-
it's worth looking into.
Yeah, Todd will let us know.
Councilor Henderson had his hand up.
He does?
He
Oh,
did.
yeah.
I had my hand up. I have maybe one question for Allison. Allison, I know you've been in contact with the library. Have you been able to talk to the schools? Because I did give them a heads up, but told them that our plan wasn't final yet. But if we feel good about these dates, might be also an opportunity to work with the school board and or the school administration to see if we can use some of their channels to get the digital.
Okay, I didn't know, I can't picture where they have signs. That wasn't one that I had reached out to. I
What,
didn't
the
even
school?
know
For
about
the,
that.
I don't think for
Yeah.
the signage, but more like through their, I know Jeff does like a weekly superintendent
Okay,
email.
more like in
or
their
something.
communications.
Yeah.
Yep, I can keep that in mind too, like as it makes its way.
Now, is
Everyone.
April still chair of BOE? Good.
Yeah.
We're gonna harness her because she's coming to the council.
All right, community survey to schools when it gets to that stage.
Well, that's right, because they do it right. They've got a electronic bulletin board right across from the fields.
And even just like on their social media or.
Yep,
And their
okay.
weekly
We'll leave that
district
up to you then, if you
newsletters.
reach
Yeah.
out.
And
Yeah,
And
that's a
again-
good platform.
I just assume at this point, at least maybe we'll be done with the paper survey, but the online version, is that still gonna be up? I'm assuming it's gonna be up during the election, and so do we just want signage as people leave the polls? Because that's
Yeah,
so easy, it's just survey.org, so it's pretty intuitive for people to see as they walk out and just remember to go on their phone or go home and do it.
yeah, that was one thing I had noted on here, so that I can mock something up before anything gets printed and make sure that that's good, but that is, since people are gonna be coming in and out, a good place.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, I'll work the polls if we can I can get a table in there, right?
Oh, do some more
Yep.
in-person outreach.
Yep.
I'm happy to do that too, Ken, if I can.
Okay.
take-
And I can do that too, so.
Okay, so we'll plan on getting a table. We'll talk to Tony about getting a table. We kind of did that 2 years ago with the e-newsletter.
Yep.
A little different with COVID, of course, but we'll come up with something, a display,
Yeah.
just handouts or anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll work on a handout.
Yeah.
When is this survey being mailed?
I
Well,
don't know the answer.
Jason, you got the email from Jason. Jason, I do believe, is just waiting for us to say go, no go.
Okay,
So I thought we could talk about that in a minute after
Okay.
Allison was done with the communication plan.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It was largely based on what the dates are, because I was imagining that I'd be able to do a full article for the end of, or like middle of October on this. And so I'm hoping that by the time it's printed and everything, that
Right.
it's still on track for that.
So can you let's pause for a second and have just that general discussion. I pushed the survey out to the other counselors and had them take it and feedback. Got their replies back. No big issues. I did it, I timed myself. Little concerned about the time. I think I did mine in 13 minutes. But keeping in mind, I knew kind of most of the questions, but I read it like I didn't, so I read every option. I did select no on the schools because I don't have children in the schools, so that section did not come up, which, I mean, I like. I mean, so you don't get at least overrun by questions you don't have any interest in. And the same with the library. I selected no on the library, so that section didn't come out. Still took me 13 minutes. So gonna be a little longer than I think anticipated. I'm just kind of hoping that people will take 20 minutes of their life and kind of contribute to the community is the way I'm looking at it. But the other three counselors, that was John Clucci, Paul Johnson, and Don Hamill, they all took it. They said they like it.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, it's a go. You picked up a couple edits and pushed
Yeah,
over to Jason.
and John mentioned the time too, so I think
Yes.
they're able to revise what the estimated was.
Yeah, so as a follow-up just on that, because John, I read your comments before I took it. And I'll tell you, when I was, and I try not to look at my timer,
Right.
but when I did look at my timer, it was at about 11 minutes. And the slide bar said I was only 29% done. I went, oh my goodness. So it's not accurate because, you know, if that was accurate, I'd be, oh my God. I've been there 11 minutes,
Yeah,
I'm a
right.
third done.
That was
So-
my reaction when I was taking it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm only 50% done. I feel like I've been here for so long. So I think, yeah.
So
I
this,
think-
And hopefully that doesn't mean people are gonna just give up on it.
well, I think that's why I'm bringing it up. I think people would.
Should about
So
half
just as a
people
general
drop off.
discussion, Liam, if you can go back out to Jason, that's either got to be accurate or it should, hopefully it needs to be removed.
Mm,
And maybe have just page, you know, you're on page 2 out of 7, page 4 out of 7,
that's a great
something.
idea, yeah.
Just so people know where they're at, because, you know, people are home, they're juggling, the kids are screaming, they want to eat, they sat down to
Yeah,
take
you
a
think you're only
survey.
20% done.
Right.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience, I got a Maine municipal survey last week and it was sort of like that. And I just quit. I said, screw it. I don't have time for this. So I didn't finish it. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because I think maybe you could mention this, Liam.
Mhm.
It would be ideal for me that you could quit at any time. You could submit at
Save
any
and
time.
resume.
It brings you immediately to that last page where you put in your address, right, for confirmation, and then submit. That would be perfect. Some, you know, because then you'd have a lot more people taking it, I think. You could just say, no, I'm ready to submit it.
Mhm.
You know, I've had enough, I'm ready to submit it. So if you could just ask him, I don't have a high degree of confidence that that can be done, but
I know that the questions that John had flagged around, Councilor Anderson had flagged to Jason about the progress he's gonna look into anyway. so
Right.
see what he says back on that.
and Don Hamill did tell me that, and I think John had mentioned in his comment, he had to keep scrolling back up for the categories.
Oh, yeah, I kind of
Like
noticed
that
that
ribbon
too.
should be like frozen.
Or where it says like satisfied, neutral, like
Right.
that, you kind of forget where.
That's
where they
right.
are.
Let me see, I'm on the third one. Was that, and then they have to slide
Yeah.
back. So again, I'm sure they've had these questions before. They must have. So ask them, but I think Jason's reply to that was he'll have to ask the IT department.
Yes, the
Well, tell
ribbon, right? The
Tell them
ribbon
it
to stay
needs
straight.
to be fixed.
All
Be a
right.
demanding
No other
customer.
option.
I think the important part though still is that, at least for the paper one, like we're talking a lot about the online, which isn't the scientific version. So we still want maximum participation, but if for some reason people decide to opt out as they go through it because it's too long, I think Jason raised the right point, which I think we all agree with, that it's more important that we have all of these questions and that we have this much to get a much more comprehensive view, that if somebody decides to opt out because they get fatigued, that's okay, because it's really important that we get as much information as possible. Is
No,
that,
I agree too, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
glad he stated it that way, because, yeah, you're right. And the people that hang in to do it are the people that really want to do it, so. And that won't be issues with paper, because with paper, you can walk away, you can,
Right.
you can take care of whatever you need to take care of and come back for that, so. So as far as I'm concerned, then we should tell Liam to tell Jason to go for it, pull the plug. with the corrections from Allison.
Yeah, and I didn't cross-check to see if those corrections are also on the print one too. But maybe I should proofread the print one before. I only looked at the online one. I'll do that online.
Okay, so are we good with that one? Great, let's move on to item number 5, which is review discussion of the website survey that apparently Allison implemented over the last month. So take it away.
All right, thank you. So this, as a reminder, was a website survey that was put together after it was decided that we'd be doing website improvements and moving on to a new platform. So it's kind of the starting point to that. The IT department suggested that we do this to kind of gain a sense of how people use the website right now to better inform when they start the process and making sure that they're going in the right direction. So this was from about like August 10th to September 15th or something like that. So about a month. And it was only through online, it was through social media and the e-newsletter. So largely people who are already following the town and have a vested interest. So we got 152 responses, which I will say, just taking with a grain of salt, that every month there's an average of like 15,000 users. So this is a very, very small subset of people who use the website. But at the same time, it gives us a sense of just general feedback that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So the first few slides just kind of get at the demographic type of questions, making sure we're reaching out to or hearing from the audiences that use the website, people who live in town. It seems like people who have been living here for a long time, so they're active residents, and looks like a majority of them are over the age of
Seniors.
65.
That's surprising. to
Yeah,
me,
I thought that was interesting too,
Yeah.
with this being so digital too.
especially the way that we talk about our seniors more not technology
Right,
engaged as much as the younger folks. So I thought that was interesting.
yeah, and it looks like, well, it's technically the majority have not attended or participated in a public meeting, but a good amount have, a third have. So these kind of just give us a sense of who's taking the survey. So next, some of the questions here, let me just make sure I'm getting all my points across.
And this was job, is that correct?
Yep, this was on
Okay.
Jot form.
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of skip ahead a little bit here. So still just giving us a sense of people using the website for different department pages and
Yep.
throughout. Yep. Okay. I'm skipping down to how to use the search field.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So here we go. It's pretty 50-50 about who uses it. And this largely kind of influenced, as we're working on the new site, how prominent we want the search field to be. So a lot of people don't use it, but at the same time, it could be a quick way for people to get to where they're going. So we actually are in the process now of working on picking out a template for the new site. And the one that we do have picked out has the search bar that's kind of front and center when you go on.
Okay.
So it's hard to tell now, like, why people don't use it or do use it, but I think with the improved functionality of the new site, it would be a way for people to get to the information they need more quickly.
Hey,
Something
Allison, I have a technical question on that, and I don't know if you would know the answer to this or if it's like the IT team, but
Yeah.
like for search, is the new platform going to be optimized with Google search so that because that's typically what I do. I usually will Google search something
Yeah.
for the town, and that's what I start with before I use the town search function, because that's just
Oh,
kind of
interesting.
so
I don't know the answer to that.
I do the same thing, so.
yeah.
And it's funny, at work, I have desktop Google, so it indexes everything I do. So I can do a Google search on my laptop, pick up
Mhm.
something in a nanosecond that's 6, 8, 10, well, I've been there 13 years, so 13 years old, so it's great. So hopefully it does use that algorithm for the Google search.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll ask because that's interesting. Like if people are just Googling it, will they get the same results as if they searched it on the website too?
I would think a lot of folks don't use the search because they know exactly what they want when they come to the website, right?
Right. So after this question, if they said, yes, we use the search field, then we had a pop-up question that says, why do you use it? And if they
Okay.
said no, we said, why don't you use it? So some of the reasons why people said they do use it is because this is so interesting because like kind of we're getting like opposite ends of the spectrum. But if we say why, we ask why do you use the search, and people say, oh, I don't need it, or people say because I just need to get to it quickly, so I'm looking for it, and so I just type it in, and that's the fastest way. But the people who say they don't use it, they say because they can't. Sorry, the people who say they don't use the search field
Don't know
can't,
what they're searching for?
don't know what they're searching for, don't know the right terminology to use, or find it quickly enough just navigating through the
Yeah.
department website or web navigation. So it's just, I think it just depends. What I found out is that it just depends on the type of person. It's not necessarily because of its prominence or something like that.
So is that what the comments are here?
Yeah,
Websites are, okay,
that,
these are
but
the
that
open
was just like the
responses?
summary analysis
Okay.
of the, it was just very across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. The visually appealing question, that was something that it seemed like people didn't really, like that wasn't something that stood out to them necessarily.
Yeah.
So it was more important to have user friendliness, functionality, the information that they needed, and not as much about what it looks like.
Yeah, you got a lot of comments on that. I didn't read the comments.
I know, there's a lot there. Easiness to understand was good. It seemed like people, once they get to the page.
I see a theme in here. A lot of people think it's been improving over time, Allison. So,
But there is also a lot of comparison to the old website. A lot of people saying that they miss what it used to be like too, so. Overall, the takeaways that I had from the comment section were about expanding search functionality, making it user-friendly. User-friendly came up a lot as a term. The calendar came up a lot, and making it either more inclusive or easier to get to the links, things like that. And then a lot about that right now you navigate like through the departments. Like, so if you needed to get to vehicle registration, you have to like know to go through finance or something like that. So just making it more intuitive
yeah.
for someone who doesn't know what departments they belong in. So overall, this was interesting. It was kind of across the board in certain senses that I thought it would stand out one way or the other, and it
Yep.
didn't as much as I thought it would. But it was helpful as a first discussion when we started looking into new website platforms. And now that process is underway, and we were just talking this morning about like what the sitemap looks like and what the headers say. So trying to like keep it consistent with what it is now, so to not change things drastically, but at the same time referencing the types of comments and feedback that people have had.
So who designed the survey? Did you?
Yes.
Using the jot form?
Yes, with IT, and then making sure to show you all
Okay.
too.
It's the reason why I mentioned that, because one counselor's comments, and I fully understood it, thought that we didn't drill deep enough into certain subjects, but we all know after struggling with this for over a month that you can't boil the ocean in 7 pages. And this jot form should be a great additional tool after we get the overall sentiment of things. We can identify maybe some areas that we want to drill deeper in,
Mhm.
and we could use jot form in doing that. The challenge will be how to get the participants in the drill down. So I think that's why the more we advertise this survey, even if they don't participate, they're gonna, survey will be in their mindset with the town. So we might be able to go out with a jot form survey, hopefully, and get some good responses. So,
Yeah, I think it's good that we did this for that,
yeah,
opportunity that people had to engage
Yeah.
if they wanted to,
Yeah.
and showing that it is,
I like the results.
A
Very
collective
easily
process.
understood.
yeah.
Any questions for Allison?
I think it's really great to have that as a baseline. So like when the new survey launches, we could try and leverage some of those same questions, maybe like 6 months later, just to go back up and see how things have changed. But yeah, I was actually a little bit surprised to see, I would say, I feel like I've heard more negative things about the current platform, but at least for that response group, it didn't seem terrible.
Right.
Good.
So
No.
hopefully what we get next is just even better.
Okay, let's move on to item number 6. Here's our e-news and our leader topics for October, November. So leader's already been submitted.
Yeah.
That will come out on October 7th.
This
Right.
week.
So we need a leader for November. And we need e-news for the 15th of October and the 1st of November. And what are you thinking theme-wise?
This is
Are
a
you
good
gonna deviate
opportunity, if there's anything election related for the 1st of November, encouraging people to vote for the e-news. I'm not sure about the 15th, if you wanted to do it then also.
Any thoughts from you folks? Any volunteers? I
Or the
know,
community survey.
I'm willing to do anything after October's done. I'm slammed right now, so.
okay,
But I mean, I'm happy to do anything for November, so. And just, I shouldn't give my thoughts on something since I am not willing to volunteer. But,
we want your thoughts.
but October 15th is a good time to put something out about election. November 1st, most people will have already voted.
Right,
I don't think this is going to be a very high turnout vote, regretfully, unless people get interested in the turf. I don't know. This is going to be a weird one.
okay. So I'll just come out and ask, John, you want to grab 10:15? Or you, if you've got things going, you just say no. Nobody's gonna, I mean, you can see Jean Marie doesn't.
I can do 10:15 for the e-news. I'm just trying to think what might be topical, because I already wrote in the leader about the turf and track and the ladder a couple of weeks ago. But depending on what we learn Wednesday, that might be another good launch pad to talk again more about the track and turf for the 15th.
Okay.
I'm also interested in whatever we learn in the workshop, or since we've been doing some of that tip stuff, that might be something where I might be able to think of a way to combine the two. But I'll definitely do the 10:15. Let me think about topic and get back to you for Wednesday, what I'm thinking.
No pressure. Yeah, like you said, wait till after the council Wednesday, some things might gel out, and I'll grab the leader for November.
Okay. what
And
do you
that
think?
will be
Yeah,
surveyed,
survey,
because
yeah.
then we'll know, everything's been mailed out. Hopefully, we may even have a sense of how many are getting returned. But then definitely drive folks to again, hoping that we will have a front and center on the landing page, the community survey, right?
Mhm.
Correct? Tell me no if it's not, but that's what I would think.
Of the town website.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be as prominent as possible
Yeah.
in the town news
Right.
section. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll take that for November. Okay. Timing wise on the other things, on the electronic boards and everything, do you think we can get a,
Oh, can we go back to that?
to your plan?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the language, I don't know like how short it needs to be, but there are a couple.
You mean
Yeah,
on your messages? Is that what you're talking?
yeah, right here.
I think
Take
I
the
think they're
community
perfect.
survey, or like, should it have the website link or?
No, electronic message, unless you can touch that link and go there.
Yeah, to me, it's gotta be short and sweet.
Yeah,
Community survey, town website.
yeah, either one, either number 1 or number 3.
Okay.
Maybe mix them and match them if we have 3, possibly 4 marquees, right?
Yeah,
Because you gotta remember, people are driving by it, they aren't stopping to look. So you wanna just grab it.
Right, but I'll tell you, this time of year, right now, let me step back for a second. We're gonna have to get confirmation from Jason, because I thought I remembered him telling us a couple times that we did not want to, at the same time, go with the mailing and the open.
No, I think the mailing, I think the scientific sample needs to be closed, and then I think this
Right.
public should be when it's open for anyone. 'Cause I think
Exactly.
that having people go to a survey that they can't take yet.
Right,
And that's my understanding is that.
Yep.
so we still need dates.
right, but I'm expecting that by mid to late October is when the big full push would be.
We should be mailed by mid-October, would you
But-
agree?
Yeah, but then the push will be kind of once the mailing portion is over. It's not for the mailed people.
No,
Yeah.
right, because you're gonna get it.
So
Right.
then how, do we know, it's like 2 weeks that the people who have the mailed one?
I think it depends on when they meet their, I think that's a bit.
Oh,
fluid,
it's just a matter of when they.
when they
reach
get
the
their
number.
600 back.
And then
So-
it gets opened.
I think he said 2 to 3 weeks usually to have.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you don't want to interfere with those numbers.
Right.
Because that's, those
Realistically,
are,
it'll be closer to November.
The end of October.
and are they doing that closed survey via mailing?
Say what?
Are they mailing the
I think
closed
it's- I think
survey?
it's a combination. I think it's a combination, isn't it?
Because the reason I ask is, as
All
you,
mail.
mail 4,200 mail.
as you've probably heard, the mail has decided they're gonna slow things down even more.
Yeah,
So we've got some lag with, when mail gets mailed, and is it first class or third class? Hopefully it's first class, because you may get it in a week. As opposed to third class, you may get it in 3 months. It's like,
So I'll ask Jason, I'll confirm that our understanding is correct, that he's gonna mail out all 4,200. A general time frame, 2 or 3 weeks to get at least 600 back. Once he meets his quota, not that they can't still trickle in, but that's when we'll launch it to everyone else.
right.
And then we can decide when that closes. So
That's
again,
right.
that's usually, I think he usually advises 2 or 3 weeks in that.
Okay.
But let me confirm all that. I think that once we have an idea, then we can say, okay, we're gonna do 3 weeks, and then when we do all of our publications, we can say until November 15th, you have to complete the community survey and participate. And that's what we can maybe put on, well, maybe factoring in to the board stuff too as a deadline as we get closer. or something like that. But
Now, you're talking deadline on the paper or the deadline
Deadline
on
on
the push?
on the push, on
Okay.
the one that's open to everyone. We're gonna want to make sure we publicize one.
So it'd be like launch and then like a little bit after a reminder
Mm-hmm.
and then a deadline.
Sure.
Right.
But I think that we'll have
Not over the
that
couple
built out
layers.
as soon as we know when the initial survey responses are gonna.
Yeah.
Launch and launch it.
Yeah.
So I'll include that in my email to Jason.
And we've already decided that we're gonna let this roll beyond the election.
I believe so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're gonna have to. if we
Yeah,
wanna.
gonna have to,
And that way, I think it's a big public push out the polls to have people
correct.
contribute.
So we had 3 people volunteer to work the polls, so we'll work the polls hard. We'll figure it out. We'll get together and figure out how to do it. Any material you can think of
Yeah,
that we can get
I'll
on the
start
table
drafting
or
that up.
anything will be good. So anything we can hand out, anything.
All right, so we'll get that email out to Jason
Mhm.
and hopefully get an answer back by tomorrow, and we'll give the approval pending some other answers to the questions on the survey.
Okay.
But everything else I think looks good.
Yeah, that way I can be a little bit more definitive in the November
Yeah.
news
Okay.
article too. Right. Okay, so public comment?
We do not have anyone in attendance.
Okie dokie. So, future agenda items. Let's talk about this for just a second. We all know next month's the election. We all know right after the election, there's gonna be a major shakeup of just about everything. Leadership, committees, everything. So we would typically meet on we move to the second Monday, right? Do you know what date that is?
November 8th.
November 8th. You guys still want to meet on the 8th for just a review to find out where we are? We should be hearing back from Jason at that time, right? We should have done at least started the push out in the wall. We should be wrapping up the push out. Just a general discussion on that, and then we call it good until December, because that's when the new committee would form.
Right.
You guys
And
okay with
I
that?
already have us written in my appointment book. So there you go.
All right, so we will do, and what it will be is a recap of the activities around the survey.
Yep.
Okay,
Sounds good.
right. So, having nothing left on the list other than item 9, which is the adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Yeah.
Second,
Council Anderson,
yes.
Council Katarina,
Yes.
Council Johnson,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.
You.